Welcome to the Real Board Loft. I'm Trip Foreman, and this is the Vernor Wild Thing. The Vernor Wild Thing is based off Vernor's wildly popular Mini Simmons design, and this board has a similar bottom shape to the Vernor Mini Simmons, and it also has a similar rocker to the Vernor Mini Simmons. And so let's talk about that a little bit before we talk about the differences between that board and this board. The bottom shape, it's got this nice belly, this nice roll through the bottom up here. So rather than having a deep concave, it's actually slightly convex through here. And then it goes through to some V and a little bit of concave on both sides in the back here. Rocker, obviously from a Mini Simmons, is going to be flat. And this board carries that rocker as well. It's got a little bit more upturned nose and a little bit more upturn in the back, but the rest of the board is real similar to the Mini Simmons as far as the rocker and the bottom. And so what does that do for you? This board and the Mini Simmons both have a really sexy rail-to-rail roll, and then also the glide, like the way that the board goes through the water on this board and the Mini Simmons it's very unique to a Vernor. If you've never surfed it, it's super easy to turn rail-to-rail, really good glide through the water, really good attachment to the water without being sticky, just through the water glide, but it's not slow like retro glide, it's ultra fast, high performance glide through the water. It's a really addictive feeling, and for mortal surfers, it actually makes mortal surfers surf better at a higher percentage of sessions as well. The difference between this board and the Mini Simmons, obviously, is that the Wild Thing's more pulled in the nose, and then it's also more pulled in the tail with a double wing and then into a diamond tail. So if you look at this tail, always easier to look on the bottom. If you look at this tail, typically a Mini Simmons would just keep going straight to here, and then it would go straight across the back, and then it would meet up with over here. So the tail is going to be like that wide in the back. So pulling that area out of the tail is going to do two things. It's going to keep the board in control at higher speeds. It's also going to put a lot of curve in the rail line back here and allow the board to maneuver and turn more vertically than you can on a big square-tailed board. In the nose of the board also has pulled it in. So the Mini Simmons is kind of more out here, where the Wild Thing is more pulled in. And so with this nose design, you still have the ability to catch a lot of waves, but you have a narrower nose that's going to fit better in late drops or curvier waves, and it's also going to be lighter when you're swinging it around through the turn. So you're not going to feel the swing weight of a wider nose. So has that same, because everybody that has a Mini Simmons, especially Vernor's Mini Simmons, they love it. It's like one of their go-to boards, and they're riding it all the time because it's the board they surf the best. And when they get on another board, they have fun, but they don't have like that electric, like uber speed glide of the Mini Simmons. So the Wild Thing allows you to get off your Mini Simmons and get on a more performance board, but still have that glide and still have that wave catching ability. And that's why David made it. So other things to know about a Vernor, all the boards that we stock from Vernor are always Marco foam, EPS blanks, and epoxy resin, the Resin Research epoxy resin. And what that makes is it makes a board that is light and durable. He's able to put a stronger glass schedule on them compared to a standard PU poly, and also the blank is higher density compared to a standard PU poly. So the decks on these boards hold up significantly longer than a standard PU poly surfboard. It's one of the biggest reasons that once people get a Vernor, they typically get more than one Vernor, is because they scrape the wax on and they're like, man, I can't even tell that I surf this board. We've had people turn over boards, like trade them in just because they're sick of the color, and they'll get another Mini Simmons because they were tired of their red Mini Simmons and they wanted a blue Mini Simmons. And you take the wax off of it, and the board's still in really good shape after 4 years of hard surfing. So they really hold up well. On the Wild Thing, another thing is they've got the grab rails on the board. This does two things. One, when you're duck diving it, your thumbs fit right into those rails, gives you a really good grip on the duck dive. But also, these reinforce the rails of the board and prevent the rails from all buckles start on a rail. And so by having this I-beam right here on the rail of the board, it reinforces that. You can see that they fade out at the ends, and what that does is it makes the middle of the board just slightly stiffer and the ends bend a little bit more since it doesn't have that in there. And so you have the ability to spring out of the tail and then also have the nose bend a little bit as well. So it is the Vernor Wild Thing. All Vernor builds. It's a really, really well built board. And as well, it also has the I-beam performance system in here, which has carbon battens inside routed into the board, as well as this carbon strip on the deck, and it ties all of the fin system together with the rail of the board, springs the torsional flex. There's a ton of high-tech stuff going on that you can read on our website, but what this is, it's not just a big V in the board. There's a lot of physical things going on to take the energy from your turn and spring you out of the turn faster. It's the Vernor I-beam system, and that is also on his high-end builds, which is it's the only way we go in all the boards we stock from Vernor, because you're basically losing money by going with the less expensive build. It's not going to perform nearly as well, and it's not going to last nearly as long. If you spend the extra $100 or so and get the better build, it lasts multiple seasons longer, and the whole time that you're surfing it, it's performing a whole lot better. So this is the Vernor Wild Thing. Definitely a good board. Definitely check it out. We surfed this board a ton here in Cape Hatteras, and also took it to El Salvador and rode it in a lot of backside point break surf, and just had an absolute blast there and here with it, surfing in here all summer and there at the beginning of the summer. The Vernor Wild Thing. Any questions, to give us a call at the shop, 252-987-6000, or look us up online, realwatersports.com/surfing. Thanks for tuning in.